Some men send flowers. Some men send texts at midnight, pretending they just happen to be thinking of you. Alessandro Ferrante sent a team of lawyers, a fabricated acquisition bid, and a personal invitation to the most exclusive gala in Venice. And the thing is, it worked.
9:47 p.m. Venice, April. The Biennale is swallowing the city whole. Sophia Vane does not do grand entrances. She does something far more effective. She arrives like she owns the room. Not loudly, not dramatically, just with the kind of quiet certainty that makes people look twice and then immediately pretend they weren't looking. Silver dress, mask in gold, hair up. The whole thing assembled in 40 minutes flat in a Venice hotel room because her finance director called at 6 p.m. and said the words no creative director wants to hear on a Thursday. The Ferrante group is moving on us. We need someone in that room tonight. She didn't ask questions. She changed. She got in the boat. What she doesn't know, what nobody thought to mention, is that Alessandro Ferrante has been waiting for her, specifically, for the better part of 6 months. Not waiting like a man who is patient. Waiting like a man who planned it. She spots him before he reveals himself, or she thinks she does. There's a man at the far end of the bar. Black mask, no drama, no feathers, just expensive and deliberate, like someone who has nothing to prove and knows it. He's not working the room the way everyone else is. He's watching it. More specifically, he's watching her. She files it away, orders a Negroni, turns back to the room. When she turns back, her drink is already there. Left shelf Campari, says the man beside her, not the house pour. She looks at him. I didn't ask for help, she says. I know, he says. You never do. She picks up the drink, takes a sip, says nothing. He doesn't fill the silence, just waits. And that is more unsettling than anything he could have said. His name, he tells her, is Alessandro. No last name, just Alessandro, like that's always been enough. She gives him Sophia. Same rules. And then, in the middle of the most exclusive gala in Venice, surrounded by 200 people performing the best versions of themselves, they have an actual conversation. Not about business, about nothing important, and everything real. She's sharper than he expected. Funnier. The kind of person who says exactly what she means and makes it sound effortless. She doesn't have a word for what he is yet. She's working on it. She is talking to a man in a mask at a bar in Venice, and she cannot remember the last time an evening went somewhere she didn't predict. He doesn't tell her his last name. Not once. Not all evening. And she, who asks everything, who leaves no room unexplored, doesn't push, which is its own kind of answer about what this night is doing to her.
At 1 a.m., her boat is waiting at the South Dock. Arranged, she notices, without her asking. She looks at him one last time before stepping down. You still haven't told me your last name, she says. He looks at her for a moment. See you tomorrow, Sophia. That's all. She holds his gaze. Then she steps into the boat. He didn't say where. He didn't say when.
He just said tomorrow, like he already knew she'd figure it out. 7:52 a.m. Her hotel room. Sophia Vane has a breakfast meeting about the acquisition. She is a professional. She shows up. That is the entire thought. The Aman is the kind of hotel that doesn't need to announce itself. Just a door and a man who already knows your name, who directs you without asking a single question. This way. She follows him into a private dining room. Canal light. One table. Set for two. A man already seated, his back to the window. He looks up. Good morning, Sophia. That voice. She knows it before she knows anything else. Before she places the face, before she processes the room. That voice, that particular stillness. And then it all arrives at once. The man from the gala. No mask now. Just him. And in the space of one breath, the name lands fully. Alessandro Ferrante. The Ferrante. One of the most powerful men in Europe. Privately held, intensely private. The kind of wealth that doesn't need to perform because it has never needed to. The Ferrante group spans continents. Art, real estate, fashion, finance. A name that moves markets quietly, that opens doors that don't officially exist, that has shaped industries Sophia has spent her entire career inside, without ever once appearing on a stage or giving a single interview. This is the man who ordered her a Negroni last night. This is the man who said, "See you tomorrow," like it was the simplest thing in the world. And the coffee already waiting at her seat, which means he knew exactly how she takes it, which means this was never a coincidence and was never going to be. She doesn't let a single thing show on her face. She pulls out her chair, sits down, picks up the coffee. Good morning, she says. Even, perfectly professional. You could have told me last night, she says. I could have, he agrees. Why didn't you? Because I wanted one conversation with you that had nothing to do with any of this. He gestures at the unopened acquisition file. I wanted to know who you were before all of that got in the way. She takes a sip, sets it down. And, she says. And, he says. I found out. They talk about the acquisition for exactly 9 minutes. Sophia times it, not because she wants to leave, because she wants to know how long it takes him to admit why he is really here. 9 minutes. He closes the folder. The acquisition is not the reason I'm here. She waits. I'm here because I sat in the 3rd row of a conference in Paris 1 year ago and watched you speak for an hour and couldn't write a single note. 3rd row, dark jacket, she says. Not a question. Something shifts in his face. You saw me. I notice everything, she says simply. You said integrity is not a strategy. It's a bet. And you'd been placing it every day for 12 years. He looks at her steadily. I have been thinking about that line ever since. She looks at him across the table. Canal light through the window. Acquisition file closed and irrelevant between them. And she sees it clearly now. All of it. The gala, the boat, this breakfast. Not a business strategy. A courtship. Constructed, deliberate, and entirely for her. She has two choices. She can close her folder, thank him for his time, and walk back out into Venice, a professional who was never thrown off course. Or she can stay. She leans back in her chair. "Tell me about Paris," she says. And she smiles. She calls Zara from the canal steps outside, still in her coat, the breakfast still warm in the air around her. "Tell me something," Zara says before Sophia can speak. "The acquisition meeting. The man from the gala?" "Same man," Sophia says. No mask. Sitting at that table like he'd been waiting his whole life and had absolutely no intention of rushing. "Sophia, what are you wearing right now?" She looks down at herself. Structured blazer, tailored trousers, every inch chosen in 4 minutes for a business meeting. "Cream," she says. "Oh no. I know. If I had known." She doesn't finish the sentence. "The red dress," Zara says. "The red dress," Sophia says quietly. So what happens now? Sophia looks back at the hotel, at Venice going about its morning, entirely unbothered. "I have absolutely no idea," she says. And she sounds, for the first time in a long time, like she doesn't mind at all.
Part 2 is coming. And in Part 2, you will find out what happens when the most deliberate man in Europe decides he is done waiting. A man who spent 4 months planning and 6 months executing just to stand in the same room as her. Not to impress her, not to pursue her. To be seen by her. Because some men send flowers, and some men build entire worlds just to knock on the door.